welcome back to my channel. I just want to say what's up to the peeps, and you already know it's a middle finger to the creeps. We're going to talk about Season 3, Episode 1 of Pose. It's a bittersweet topic for me, I'll be honest with you guys. Pose means so much to me. As a trans woman of color, man, it's just like seeing these characters go away almost feels like I'm losing one of my best friends. I mean, it is literally that emotional for me to know that the show is going off the air. But all good things must come to an end. My hope is that everyone who was on the cast, that they're able to remain viable actors, just because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happens after Pose ends for a lot of them. I hope they were smart with their money. I hope they bought some Dogecoin. I hope they were doing some major things. I hope the girls were not out here buying, designer purses and trying to live fab. I hope that they were being smart with their money because, as I said earlier, all good things must come to an end. And when that end hits, baby, you want to be prepared. So, Pose Season 3, Episode 1. And before I talk about Season 3, Episode 1, I know I've heard this whole thing about Janet Mock and the meltdown she had and how she was complaining about only making $40,000 per episode, and she was allegedly sleeping with one of the cast members or crew members. I don't know exactly what's going on. And to be completely honest with you, I don't care. I mean, her personal life is her personal life. I know that Janet Mock is an icon. Whatever she's going through, I hope that she's okay. Get well soon, Janet. I don't really know what else to say about that, except that I love and adore Janet Mock and what she stands for. And, if she wasn't being paid what she deserved, maybe 40K is a lot to me and you, but in relation to or in comparison to her contemporaries, her white male contemporaries, and her cisgender contemporaries, maybe she wasn't making what she should have been making. I don't know. And that potentially caused the meltdown. But I'm sure in all due time, Janet is a very eloquent woman. She will probably do an interview, maybe write a book. I don't know. But when she's ready to tell her story, I'll be here for it. And again, I just hope that she's okay. So now that we've given that public service message, let's talk about Season 3, Episode 1. Now, I just told you guys that this is really bittersweet for me just because there's been very few shows that have left an indelible impression on me to the degree that I get sad when they're going off air. The Cosby Show, A Different World, Sex and the City, and now Pose. I'm trying to think if there's any other show that I was just really, really... I felt a little bit sad when True Blood went off the air, so there was a little bit, but definitely not as much as the previous shows that I mentioned. So now knowing that Pose is going off the air, I refuse to miss an episode. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Based on what I've seen thus far, even though I hate to see the show go, I think it might be time. If the writing and the direction of Episode 1 is any indication of where the show is going, I'm not sure that I want a Season 4. Episode 1 of Season 3 opens with Blanca. Blanca is in love. She has her a fine man. He is handsome. His name is Christopher. And Christopher is giving you a boom, 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 cow, 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 baby. Body, yaddy, yaddy. So I'm here for every moment of that. And not only is he fine, but there's only one thing that can make fine better. And that, well, there's two things. One thing, and it's not what you're thinking with your nasty self. The first thing is to have smart conflated with intelligent. Oh, baby, sign me up. Sign me up for that. The second is when you get fine mixed with intelligent and just a good human being, just a quality person. All three of those wrapped into one. Baby, point me to the chapel. Point me to the justice of the peace, because we need to go ahead and just make this thing official. That is, yeah. So Blanca finally gets, her chance at love, and it's really nice to see a healthy transgendered relationship on television. Not something that I think I've seen before. I'm trying to think about any of the shows or any of the previous episodes. I guess Angel and Poppy are kind of in one now that I think about it, but it's nice to see Blanca find love, because usually the good people finish last. So I'm happy that Blanca found a really good guy. He wants to take Blanca home to meet his parents. He's all on board. I don't know. It's a really interesting thing. One of the things that they didn't talk about in terms of him wanting to take her home to meet his parents is whether or not he was going to prepare the parents. If you know what I mean, letting them know that, hey, this is my girl and she's transgendered, or whether or not he was going to ask her to walk in and be in stealth mode. Now, for those of you who may not know what stealth mode is essentially flying under the radar and appearing, for all intents and purposes, to be a cisgendered woman when in actuality you're transgendered. And I don't like doing that. I don't like walking into any place feeling like I have a secret and feeling like Meanwhile, I'm wearing a mask. I don't like walking into a place and feeling uncomfortable and feeling like at any moment in time the rug can be pulled from underneath me. So I wish they would have broached that subject and talk a little bit more about whether or not he had been open with his parents, and whether or not that she was his first transgendered relationship, or had he had previous transgendered relationships. And like, I wish there was a little bit more of a backstory so I can understand where he's coming from to make a more conclusive impression of who he is as a man. But anyway, she has a man and he's fine. So Blanca's doing her thing. Angel is upset because she can't find work. Now wait a minute, girl. I just saw you at Queen and Slam. I saw you in Queen and Slam, baby. So Poppy is clearly getting you work. I'm just kidding. But yeah, she was in Queen and Slam. And speaking of Queen and Slam, I love the fact that they can't cast her in that role. And there was no mention of her being transgender. She was just a woman. And that's it. She was just an actress. And I love the fact that I believe Lena Waithe produced that movie. So she is, in the family. But even still, it was just really nice to see a transgender woman just getting a chance to be an actress that wasn't connected to her gender identity. So check her out in Queen and Slam if you have not seen that movie. Queen and Slam is... I'm not going to spoil it for you guys in terms of how it ends. I hated the ending of Queen and Slam. But man, that is my movie. I'm telling you, I love that movie. And I love her in the movie. So check that out. So anyway, she's complaining about not getting work. Her modeling career is sort of stalled. And Poppy is still being supportive. And he's running his agency. But you can see some cracks forming in their relationship. She seems to be a little insecure with him being around other women. And also she's, doing the primos. I'm not going to talk about it because what I'm not going to do is get demonetized before I can monetize. But she's doing primos. And she and Lulu are, on a downward spiral. I see it coming. What else is happening in this episode? We see Pray Tell. I love me some Pray Tell, right? But I did not like that scene in whatever store that was put. Saks Fifth Avenue, Macy's, where he's selling Chanel perfume. It just came across a little Sambo for me. Shucking and jiving. Like, I don't know. I didn't like the delivery in that scene. Color me hypersensitive. But for me, it just came across a little Sambo-esque. Sorry, Billy Porter. Sorry, but and maybe that was the intent. If that was the intent, then job well done, because that's certainly how it came across to me. So he and Ricky are having issues with the drinking. Ricky is auditioning for the Janet Jackson tour. What else is happening? One of their house members, I can't think of the former house members, passing away from complications of HIV/AIDS, which was a very sad but poignant scene, and seeing everyone in the house gather around, and they all decide to compete in a ball in his honor after he passes away. Now that's when it gets a little corny for me. That's when it gets a little corny. And I know the show is called Pose, and I know it's based around ballroom culture, but I don't know. It needs to be a little bit more organic for me in terms of the way, a little bit more realistic. Like I couldn't see, and I'm not in the ballroom culture, so maybe I'm just not aware. But for me, I just couldn't see someone passing away, and we decided as a house that we're just going to do an impromptu ballroom competition. No. But that's what happened, and of course they won. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, this episode was lackluster. I mean, as much as I love the show, as much as I don't want to see it go. Like, there was a scene where they have a fight in a diner because the House of Khan, which is the house that Evangelista was competing against, they had won a previous ball of $1,000, but the ball, the house, whomever threw the ball didn't have the funds to pay. And so that turned into this whole ridiculous food fight, and it just became so campy and so cheesy. And I'm like, come on, guys. Come on, Pose. Come on, Ryan Murphy. So that part was just a little over the top for me. It just didn't really add much to the story, if I'm being completely honest with you. It bordered on ridiculous. Is there anything else that I want to talk about in this episode of Pose? Blonda is on her way to school. She's going to become a nurse. And now that's another thing that I love, too. I love the fact that Pose is showing a spectrum. You know what I mean? You see the working girls, and again, sex work is work, so we don't shame anyone. But I love the fact that they're showing Blanca as an aspirational character who's not being pigeonholed into, sex work or crafting, identity theft, what have you. I love the fact that she's actually making strides to change her place and her position in life. And I think that that's a really, really important message for trans women of color, for trans women in general to see, but in particular trans women of color, because so often it has been ingrained on us that, we're supposed to lead these subpar existences and essentially accept scraps So I love the fact that Blanca has the audacity, the temerity to believe that she deserves as much as she deserves to have. So I love that. That's about it. Not a whole lot happened that I found particularly interesting. But come back. Hopefully episode 2 will be better. I got my fingers crossed that we're going to get some good stuff out of that episode 2. You know, for me, before I go, it was the episode last year, season 2, the episode with Candy, the Never Knew Love Like This Before episode. Pose should have gone off the air after that episode. That was like not just the best episode of Pose, that was like one of the best episodes of episodic television that I've ever seen. I loved that episode of Pose. That episode had me in tears. I mean, that episode, it gives me goosebumps to talk about it. It was just so good. You know, I hated to see Candy leave, but she's still working with Ryan Murphy and still doing great things. So it's nice to know that Angelica Ross, even though she's not on Pose, is still out here doing her thing. So, all right, you guys, that is it for this video. I will come back. We'll talk more about episode 2. Before we close, ask yourself this question. Why be bitter when you can be better? All right, you guys, it's me, the Masked Trans, and I will talk to you guys again in the next video. Bye.